Now, as the country awaits President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address tomorrow evening, the ocean economy is highly earmarked as a key sector for employment across the diverse marine sector. 30 billion rand has since been set aside to address this, with the additional 65 billion from the private sector, with the potential to create over 100,000 direct jobs and 250,000 indirect jobs. To discuss this, we're now joined by Sizwe Nkukwana, who is the Program Manager at Operation Phakisa at SA Maritime Safety Authority, Samsa. Thanks so much for joining us. Those are pretty impressive numbers. I mean, are they doable?
They are doable. It just takes the country doing things differently, I think. We've had a sluggish last 10 years, and we do need to speed up the pace of implementation going forward.
Oh, I was actually going to start there, because Operation Phakisa, by its name, means speed up, hurry up, based on what happened in Thailand. But the problem here is this was launched mid-2014. It's 5 years later now, and we're still talking about plans. What's gone wrong?
I think it's difficult for people to move out of their comfort zone. And as South Africans, especially public sector, we are very bureaucratic. And it doesn't help that we probably are more incentivized to follow process rather than performance. And so AG comes down on you for not following processes that you're supposed to try and short circuit when you are doing an Operation Phakisa type environment. So our regulations haven't caught up is one of the major things. Number two, we've had some major changes. I mean, the oil price when we did the planning was sitting at over 150.
Yeah. And
the whole Operation Phakisa, especially Ocean's economy, was based on us exploiting offshore oil and gas exploration. And when it went down to the numbers that it did late 2014, early 2015, a lot of projects were set aside. And so it caused quite a rapid, a large slowdown in terms of the implementation.
All right, but Operation Phakisa, from my understanding, is more than just offshore gas, surely. I mean, it's maritime, it's shipping, it's building ships, it's all sorts of things. So, let's put the oil price to one side and let's talk about the sector in general. Yeah. What else could we have done that we failed to do in 5 years?
There's a lot we could have done. I mean, we struggled a lot over the last 10 years, I think, with a rigid public sector. And we're hoping now that we're going to see a bit more nimble public sector that can adapt much more quickly to the changes. For example, we've got a fishing vessel recap project where we've got 1,400 vessels that are very aged, that we'd like to see if they could be a catalyst for growth. And so we're now starting a process of trying to invigorate that sector, especially the boat building sector, through things such as the fishing vessels. So there are actions that we put in place and we're putting in place to try and see if we can speed up, especially in the next phase. We've gone through the learning curve now, and I'm thinking that it's time to really implement.
So one of the things that I remember about this sector is that it's fairly untransformed, and it's sort of dominated by monopolistic natured businesses. Is that still the case, and how are you going to unbundle this?
Yeah, it's an ongoing, and it's not just a maritime issue. I think, let's be fair, South Africa is grappling with the issue of transformation, and transformation that is going to be impactful across all the sectors within maritime. Fishing is exactly the same. Shipping is exactly the same. We've seen deals being done at a boardroom level, but it doesn't translate to the transformation of the sector in general, especially in the inclusion of the smaller, medium-sized enterprises. I think things such as the recapitalization starts moving people or reducing their reliance on the big companies or the big global companies, and starts bringing it down to the level of the communities, the fishing vessel communities. We've got other projects. We've got some shipbuilding initiatives that we've tried to localize the supply chain as much as possible. DTI put in a localization or local content of 60% for projects going forward. And we've, by and large, the projects that we've delivered in the shipbuilding space have hit that target. And so we will get there. Aquaculture has been quite a good one, which is another pillar of our oceans economy that is seeing more and more black people coming into the space.
I was about to ask, actually, because it's one thing to say, let's open up this space, but are people, are we aware of the opportunities? And, you know, when we talk about maritime, we see boats and we see a few things, but there's so much more depth. And I wonder if we are aware of them, and maybe that this is part of your challenge, is to educate.
Yeah, and it's a culture. I always talk about sea salt in your veins. It's a culture that you have to build in the organization, in the country. We started as Operation Phakisa, a program called the Maritime Youth Development Program. In fact, the last time I was here, we were talking about candidates that we had put on MSC ships to go and work, and people from disadvantaged backgrounds, from Orange Farm, who are now traveling the world, enjoying sites, making friends with people from various backgrounds. Those are the kind of things that raise awareness of this sector and the potential that it earns for our people.
All right, so as many as 100,000 jobs could be created if we get this right. Assemblief, let's work hard, make it happen. Sizwe Nkukwana, thanks so much indeed for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck. I hope that the next time we have this conversation, you're going to be able to tell us about a number of projects rolled out. I'm going to put a phone call through to the Auditor General's office right now to stop hamstringing you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick